What do you look for in a part?
I think, like on recent parts, it looks like I just look to play really creepy psychopath or sociopathic people. I love the idea of just really exploring a side to myself that I, haven't explored before. I feel like I'm a million miles away from like Spectre, and I'm very pleased to say I'm a million miles away from Spectre because he's a psychopath.
If you think I'm a killer, why aren't you scared?
I am scared.
Are you?
Yes.
You think I'm gonna strangle you?
Yes.
And your little friend upstairs? Do you really think the killer would identify himself so easily? Grow up, kitty.
Do you ever find it hard to leave that character? Like when you're, you've gone through your 12, 14-hour day, whatever it is, and then you're like, all right, it's time to leave Spectre there, or do you end up carrying it with you?
My sole intention is to leave it on set, but I think someone like Spectre who is so all-encompassing and intense, and it takes a lot of my energy to play him, I feel. It's quite hard. He's a hard one to shake at the end of the day. With the second series of The Fall, I sort of scared myself about how easily I could slip back into him, you know what I mean?
Totally.
But is that the same with you with Doug Stamper?
Certainly from 1 to 2, like for, season 1, it was Bo Willeman who said, I just don't want you to emote. That's the main thing for the whole year, just don't emote anything.
You said you wanted to turn over a new leaf.
I have a certain skill set, Miss Dunbar. For me, turning over a new leaf is using my skills for the right reasons, like putting you in office.
That one note really made that sort of persona that he is.
Right.
Then the third season, obviously, was a completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, he was actually a different person almost.
And in the third series, I mean, we really get to explore it and see what it's what is driving it beyond everything else. Is fascinating.
Yeah, I felt the same watching yours, and the obvious common thread that you were just talking about, that both of us had this, or you for pretty much for both seasons, really until the finale of series 2 for you.
Yeah.
You're alone for so much of it, and that was me this year, to be alone. And I found it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I found it to be so much harder, because in my opinion, half of acting is reacting, is listening. And so when there's nothing to listen to,
it's like a totally different challenge though, isn't it? And it's actually, I don't know, I find it kind of comforting. I find it comforting to spend time by myself, especially when I'm playing Spectre, because he is so internalized, and he is such a a loner of sorts, and he to sort of manifest the ideas that he has and create the world that he has in his head. You kind of need to be alone to be doing that, you know. It'd be bad if he was sort of sat at the kitchen table going doing those sketches of his victims and stuff. Soup. While the kids are, Daddy, hold on.
I'm drawing.
Can I borrow your red pen? But I sort of enjoy that solitude, because to spend time with that person alone, I think, is really intriguing, and there's an awareness of that, I think, when I'm filming that stuff, that I really get off on when I'm doing the stuff by myself.
I think I shot for 2 weeks totally by myself. The first 2 weeks of filming, all that whole recovery process as well.
Right.
And it's funny you said comforting, because for me it was like, I found it to be a real challenge to not have someone to play off of, and it was like the best way that I could approach it was just I had to be so relaxed and so comfortable to do it.
No, sure, right, yeah.
Bo Willeman was like, so he's like, what? You had me read the script. He's like, the first script. He's like, what did you think? And I was like, I'm scared to death, dude. I said, I'm really, really scared. I was like, you don't leave me for like 35 pages. And it's the first 35 pages, other than that page and a half with Kevin in the beginning. And he's like, dude, what's the big deal, man? You just gotta hold the audience who loves this show for who's loved this show for 2 years, and it's on your shoulders. No big deal. So
you and Bo, obviously, like, right from the start, were you very clear with each other? Was he very honest with you about where it was going to go with Doug and collaborative?
Well, no, he's not. Bo Willeman is not very. He'll give you little pieces, like he'll.
Right.
You know, he gave me my overall arc for season 1, which just was to not emote, and that sort of set the tone for the character. And then beyond that, like he'll string you, you know, and he doesn't even know sometimes, you know, like they have overall things that they work on, obviously.
Yeah.
Overall storylines in the writer's room, but the really interesting thing about our show is that something happens, and Bo Willimon takes that and he's like, okay, this happened, so now this is going to happen, and then this happens. You know, the greatest example of that is Rachel Brosnahan, who plays Rachel Posner. She was prostitute. That was her character name, and she was only going to be in 1 or 2 episodes.
We were discussing that. My wife and I were discussing that, going, I wonder, did they ever have a plan like that for
Nothing.
her early
Like,
on?
literally, she was going to come in, she was going to help me take Russo down, and she was so good with Corey Stoll. They were they had great chemistry. And then her and I started to film our stuff, and they're like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so Bo wrote another scene. And then he wrote another scene, and I forget what episode it was that he actually gave her. He was like, you know, we were sitting down having lunch, and he's like, so what do you want your name to be? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, how about Rachel? And she's like, all right.
That works.
Sure. so and then look, you know, she's done.
She's amazing.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
Such a talented young girl, and so sweet, you know. But I mean, literally, it happens as we go along, and that's the greatest thing about Bo is he doesn't sleep. Like he literally, he's there for every first take or first rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then he just goes back to his trailer and just writes all day long. And we have dinner at the James Joyce at night, and he goes back and he writes and he stays up all night. Most of us sleep.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he does it. And then he takes like a 2 or 3 week vacation when we're done.
Wow.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have like, is it a collaboration? Like Bo will say, you know, like, hey, you know, if you have any input or something you want to get into with Stamper, let me know. And I'm just like, it's on you, dude. Just tell me where to dance. I'm a little monkey, dance monkey.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I'm very happy to be the monkey, but actually, like Alan Cubitt, our creator, who didn't direct the first series of The Fall, but did direct the second. And he's an astonishing human being and got the most incredible mind. And, you know, I owe him so much, and he's such a good friend of mine now. And even in the first series, where I was I definitely hadn't done enough work really to warrant being given that opportunity. And it was Alan who, I mean, I'd never even done a small part in a BBC production, never mind being given a lead in anything.
Wow.
You know, I really hadn't. I'd never done British television of any kind. So it was a big punt for them to take on me, and that was all driven by Alan. He was just like, he's the guy. And, you know, and I know he had to fight for it, and it like automatically just did wonders for how comfortable I felt, you know, early on, because I knew that the driving force of the whole thing, the reason we're all here, believed that I was the guy, you know. So as nervous as I was in the first sort of couple of takes, you know, he was just great at going like, it's okay.
This is it.
I mean, I didn't get fired after the first day. I was like,
it's always our biggest
okay,
fear.
yeah, honestly, like
table read. You're like,
I don't think
can't
people
make the
believe
table
that.
read.
I know.
No,
yeah, honestly,
like,
I know the table read. I was like packing up my bags. Like, it's not going to happen.
You're like, get to the table read.
Yeah.
Get through the fitting.
But also,
and then get to your first day, and then still you're like, all right, let me get to the first episode. So that they have enough tape where they're like, it'd really be a pain to recast.
But that is the thing. I don't think people believe that about table reads, but like, I'm terrible at table reads. The things I am most fearful of are auditions probably and table reads, because I'm always like, don't judge me on this. Like, you know, it's when you see the you know, the creative people, the producers and the director and all, go off to have their little meeting after the table read, and you just want to sort of, you know, pop your head in and go, guys, come on, like, don't be judging.
That's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, on the day, I've
and
got
always
this.
like, we just want to hear you read it. We just
exactly.
don't act anyone. Just read it.
I know exactly, but then you get someone who's
Fired.
straight out of the blocks, like gives like a massive performance, and you're like, what are you doing?
So
I'm not doing that. But it was great because then from really early on, Alan and I had this, like he just had, it gave me a lot of confidence. He has a lot of faith in me. He's very good at, and now that he's directing, it's even better, you know, and he's like, he's got so much trust in what I naturally wanted to do with Spectre. And I don't know, like, I think I'm just lucky with him, and like there's very rarely a time that I say, I think this, and he goes, no. why would you do that? What an awful choice.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. It seems to be so far it's really cohesive, and I think that you know we're a couple of seasons in now that there's just a sort of you get this sort of common understanding and like unsaid thing where you don't even like he'll come in and be like, so I was and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know.
right.
And he's like, I was like, yeah, no, sorry, I got it. I realized I know what I did. I don't know what I was thinking, you know, which is a really lovely thing.